Mushu here, and in the spirit of the holiday season, I decided to work on an illustration of my OCs based on holiday stories and folklore. Back in 2021, I did a chibi illustration of Krampus while talking about his folklore on my Instagram live. And this year I wanted to work on his design and create a world for him and a few other holiday characters. I also worked on a design for my favorite character from A Christmas Carol, the Ghost of Christmas Past, who is on the right. While creating Krampus's design, I wanted to stay true to his goat-like features. So he has his signature horns and goat beard. Also, since he is Santa's opposite, I wanted him to have an oversized coat that was black with a red fur trim. Under his coat, he would have a thinner frame, and if this was a full body image, he would have goat legs with brownish black fur. While designing the Ghost of Christmas Past, I knew I wanted her to look cold and ghost-like, which is why her palette is mostly white and pale blue. And since she is a Christmas ghost, I gave her a wreath and red candles as a headdress, and holly and berries on the trim of her long white cape. She also has 4 candles that float alongside her while she travels between the veil of the real world and the holiday world. I guess you could say they're her little sidekicks. Here I'm just adding some detail into her wreath, and I have to say this took a couple of times because I wanted to add some of those shadows that were deep, that you could tell that it was leaf-like, and there was like some dark pockets. Kind of like when you look at wreaths and trees and other holly and stuff that you could tell the foliage is built on. With Krampus, I gave him some gold like accents in his horns. In a way, they're his own accessories, and I wanted it to play off with the idea that they're a form of tricking children, especially the children that are naughty. So that way, when he's coming down the chimney to grab them, they sound like bells, so they think it's Santa coming. Kind of dark, but what else is he gonna use? He's already creepy as is. And I also gave him a pale purple complexion, because I didn't want to go with a gray, black, or brown look. I felt like a paler purple was looking best on him. Although since this is a watercolor painting, it did kind of make him look a little darker, but it works for his like cheekbones sinking in. Here I'm working on the background, and I have to say I wasn't sure how I was going to approach this background, and it gave me a lot of anxiety. So I just rolled with it. In one of my drawings of Krampus, I had some like berries and leaves hanging in the background, so I just carried that over to this illustration. And since Christmas Past has all these candles around her, and they're always lit, I figured they will light up the room, and she brings a sparkleness like around them. So in a way, she lightens up a room, even though Krampus darkens the room when he enters it. Their dynamic basically is friendship at first, but Krampus kinda has a thing for Christmas Past, because although she looks very sweet and cute, she also has a bit of a dark side, and it has to do with the candles, which I'll have to cover at another time. Here I'm just putting last minute details with my Posca pens and filling in some of the golds before we take off that sweet, sweet masking tape and reveal the final drawing at the very end. So while we're removing this masking tape, I decided to rip my paper just slightly. I just wanted to cover what art supplies I used. So I used a fluid 6x8 watercolor paper block, cold press, 140 pound, which was acid free. And the watercolor paints I chose to use for this were a mixture of Daniel Smith and Instgram watercolor paints. Both I purchased at my local artist and craftsman supply. And then of course I used Posca paint pens, and for the golds I did use acrylic paint just because I wasn't sure where my acrylic ink was. But the acrylic paint did a good job too. The brands I used was just basic Amsterdam and then Liquitex, because I used a gold Amsterdam paint and then I mixed it with some bronze Liquitex to give some darkness but yet that metallic look onto Krampus's buckles and to his accents and his horns. I have to say I was very happy with the finished product of this. It doesn't look like I really used watercolor. Then again, I've been staring at this drawing for like several days, so it could just be me. But I have to say it was very pretty and it came out really nice. This piece is the third piece of a 3-piece illustration. I did one of Krampus just by himself and one of Christmas Past by yourself, both on my Instagram lives, which is at Mushu Draws on Instagram. And then I also have a studio page, which is at Please Excuse My Egg on Instagram. So if you want to check out those illustrations, feel free to go on there and hear more about them and see how I started creating them. But here is the final illustration. Like I said, it came out really cute, and I love the gold accents on Krampus. It definitely gives a different feel to the illustration. And also, all that fluff and all that extra work that I put into the wreath and his coat just looks really nice too. Well, I hope you guys have a lovely holiday season, and I hope to see you guys in the new year. Bye!